thank you for coming on Facing Reality to chat with me.
Thank you.
It's my absolute pleasure. It was very fun to watch you on MasterChef Canada. I have to say, off the bat, that challenge last night seemed absolutely impossible.
It was I think everybody had their challenges with it. I don't think anybody thought we were going to finish in the time frame. And luckily we kind of did, I guess, with items missing. But yeah, it was hectic. One of
Woo.
the ones we had.
I feel like that's kind of the nature of these challenges, though, especially on cooking shows, because it's like, I was thinking about it last night. That's how normal people feel in the kitchen just doing like mac and cheese.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody that works and maybe has to feed themselves or someone else is always under some sort of gun. You finish work at whatever time and you get home, and if you have kids, even if you have to feed your dog, I mean, it's you got to make sure you get everything there. And so when you get into a kitchen and you're being judged on it, on top of that, and you could go home, it makes it all that much more pressure filled.
See, and you're underselling yourself there already because what I'm referring to is yes, all that time crunch and all that, but also we just lack the skills and the kind of passion and the way your mind works about the food. I mean, I think people who don't cook and don't enjoy cooking and it's kind of like intimidating to them. It's just like speaking a foreign language, like they don't even know where to start. And the simple things seem like your guys' challenge last night, where you had to, what was it, make arancini stuffed.
Mhm.
So that means risotto, which is already hard to make, and then you got to chill it, and then you got to fry it, and then there was homemade pasta with seafood, and what was the third thing?
Stuffed artichokes. So it's a Roman Italian dish.
Oh my gosh. And artichokes are notoriously hard. And see, my brain couldn't even work to remember that menu. So I think there's something of like trying to push you guys to the limit in terms of kind of trying to bridge that gap between like, listen, you guys as our experts, and in order to always like for what a home cook has to do, we have to push ourselves, but now you guys have to push yourselves even just that little extra bit to get to that next level. Did MasterChef do that for you? Did you come away with like a new sense of cool or calm in the kitchen or
I think for me, I mean, when I cook, and I don't know if most cooks are like this, I would assume they are, but it's like kind of your happy therapeutic place, right? Like you go into the kitchen, and most times, if not the vast majority of the time, I am by myself in the kitchen. Like my wife will come in, my kids will come in, whatever, here and there, and they'll ask what I'm making, then they'll leave and they'll wait for it to be ready. But I can put music on, or I can just zone out, so to speak, and focus on what I'm doing. And when you do it as often as you do, like you said, and you develop the skills, then those become second nature. It's like, if you do other things, whether you play sports or you play an instrument, the more you practice, the more you do, the more it becomes kind of muscle memory and habit. So using knives and grating things and mixing things, it just becomes, and using the equipment that you have in the kitchen. But I don't really need to think about too much, or I don't think about too much outside of what I'm doing in that moment. And so it's kind of, a relaxing place. You go into the MasterChef kitchen and that gets turned upside down because now it's pressure put on you. And though you might have minor pressures to meet some deadlines at home, this is a hard and fast deadline. If you put something on the table 10 minutes late at home, so be it. Everyone's a little bit hungrier, but it's 10 minutes late. If someone doesn't like something, then, or it's too salty or it's underseasoned, they might say something, but then again, they might not. So when you get into the MasterChef kitchen, that happy place that you're used to being kind of your place of therapy and relaxation becomes a much different environment, and it does change and makes you appreciate what you do at home on a regular basis much more.
oh, that's really interesting, and I'd love to hear that. Tell me a little bit about what it's like during the competition, and if did you ever get used to it? Did you ever ease into the like get a little bit more comfortable as the challenges went by, or was it always kind of like when the lights are on and the camera's on, that pressure is there and you're feeling it?
I think because the challenges are all so different, you don't know what to expect. And every time you walk into the kitchen, it's something new. Like the one day we walk in, there's mystery boxes on all the stations. Another day we walk in, there's two different colors on there's six stations, and there's blue on one and red on the other for the team challenge. And then another day you walk in like yesterday and there's nothing on the stations. And so you don't know what's coming. So it's hard to anticipate exactly what you're going to be doing. You can practice, and everyone does practice before they go on. And you can watch, but like all the other Master Chef, whether it be the UK or Australia or the US or Canada, and I watched all the Canadian ones twice, if not three times in most cases. But like the time versus ingredients challenge, I had never seen before because I never watched the Australian version of MasterChef, and so it was new to me. And I didn't manage that one very well. I didn't shop for ingredients very well. So it doesn't matter what comes at you. And then of course you get into the tag team challenge, you're familiar with it, but at the same time, I approach it. I mean, I work in a business where communication is so important. I've had direct reports. I've had to deliver, things in front of 600 people, 400 people, 300 people, and communication is key, but you also have to understand how you're delivering it, who you're delivering it to, and how to, and with Veronica and I, we have two different communication styles. And I think I've said that before, but because we have different communication styles doesn't mean we weren't communicating. And I think at the end of the day, in that particular challenge, they focused on the communication, but we ended up getting everything on the plate. And we got everything out there. We didn't get the cheese. I've made arancini numerous times at home, and I don't always make them with mozzarella cheese. I've done them with just a pesto risotto. I've done them with like a risotto and like mushrooms, and just basically the Parmesan, but not like that gooey mozzarella cheese. Mainly because I'm not a fan of mozzarella, to be honest with you, other than if it's on pizza. Like there's sandwiches like the Monte Cristo that my mom used to make has mozzarella, and there's something called mozzarella in carrozza, which is like a grilled cheese. It's kind of egged and fried Italian sandwich. Not a big fan. So it's like mozzarella's there. It sounds good, but there's other cheeses I love a lot more than mozzarella.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the nature of, at the end of the day, cooking is still like an art form. So it's still pretty subjective. So it makes for a really difficult goal when it's kind of a moving target. Everybody has different tastes and things like that. And like you said, things look different to different people. So communication styles, they show up differently. But I mean, you were incredibly fun to watch. And I love that I talk about this a lot in my series. Reality TV is kind of like a 20-year-old person's game. You know what I mean? It's really easy to kind of pick up your life when you're 21, 22 years old and like see what happens, and have someone to shoulder responsibilities for you because they're not that big. But when you have children, and hey, I want to preface that not everyone every 20-year old's life is the same. So obviously that's not a hard and fast rule across the board. But personally, for me, I find it much more compelling when, people who have kids and families and jobs and careers are choosing to leave that to do this great adventure that really has like kind of no promises. And really it's like a solo journey for yourself. Can you speak to that a little bit? It must have been challenging to make that decision. And why, at the end of the day, did you still choose to go on MasterChef and kind of have that big commitment?
Yeah, the like my family is the most important thing to me. And I love cooking for my family. And so to step away from them, I mean, my kids are older now. Like my kids are in their 20s. And because they're in their 20s, a lot of our communication is through a phone. They're not always at home. One works full time as an electrician, the other one is in school full time. And so they're not always around. And so sometimes now, even as we're getting, a little bit, they're getting older. It's just my wife and I. So like cooking something small for me is a little bit foreign because growing up, it was always big meals. Like I'm half Italian, and like food was central to our lives. Like everything we do, we gather around tables and we talk, and there's always food. And so stepping away from them wasn't that hard, other than the fact that I just missed their company. Because I mean, you are sequestered for a period of time in a hotel. And yeah, I'm with some great cooks and we developed some really great friendships. We learned a lot from each other, but it's the family part that I really, and I said it, I mean, they didn't air it, it was kind of edited out, but I was somewhat relieved to go home and see my family and be with them again.
Oh, that's such a great feeling, right? It's like when you're on vacation and you really don't mind going home. I think that's nice. And so would you recommend this to people who maybe they have children and they're like getting older and they have more time on their hands? Did you enjoy your experience with reality TV? Would you do it again?
It's a great question. They asked me right after I finished in the back of the studio if I would do it again, and I said no. Um, and at the time I thought about it, and then I've had time to reflect on it. And I thought, well, maybe I would do it again. And then after seeing it and the way it's been edited, I would probably say no. It's just, I mean, the editing's interesting because they are building a story and the story isn't just about the food at times. It is also about the personalities that are there and working with each other. And like I said, I think Veronica and I we got to work together twice. She sent me a really great message last night after the show, and her and I are on really good terms. Like we always have been. So it was interesting to see kind of the narrative that was presented in terms of our breakdown because even in the team challenge, I mean, Veronica and I worked really well together. She made that fantastic dessert, and I did a lot of the prep work for the dessert in terms of creating and doing strawberries for her jam as well as the strawberry toppings. And then she was getting me to get her tofu. And at the same time, I made with Andres most of the noodles, if not all the noodles. And then it was just there was a lot of stuff that we did together, Veronica and I. It was all her recipes in the team challenge, like kind of her ideas, and then we executed on them. And I thought we did do a great job on it. The noodles stuck a little bit. I didn't know I had to rinse noodles. Being Italian, we never rinse our noodles, but they were rice noodles, a little different texture and a little bit different approach to the cooking. But yeah, I knowing how it is presented now, I'm thinking, yeah, it's reality TV is not always reality, as it were in real life. So it's
Interesting.
reality
So,
TV.
so you wish that the narrative was a little bit more, that you guys were communicating just great.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I don't yell and scream. I coached hockey for years, and I've trained people in their jobs for years. Yelling and screaming and directing people to do things isn't always the best approach. And I know Veronica, if I got at Veronica, I don't know that she would respond in a positive way. And I didn't think she would. So I chose a different direction, and that's what they presented. But in the end, I mean, I think if you ask Veronica, we did well.
And so you chose a different direction and that's what they presented, but you still don't think it was presented exactly how it was? Just trying to.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they said it was about communication. It wasn't about the foods. But if you had me and Veronica in the same room, I think we'd have a different story as to what was told.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Very, very hard challenge. Very
Yeah,
hard one to go out on, especially when you're working with other people, but um still a very interesting story told. Was it cool to see like your food on screen?
yeah, it was. I took picture. I've taken screenshots of most of the food just to try and remember exactly what I did right and wrong. I will say my plating under pressure is not great. I just throw everything on the plate and it gets a little messy and it's not the way I would normally want to present things. And I'm notorious for serving big portions. I mean, Sung and I had lots of conversations, and he always kind of joked around that I was serving more than one person. Which, in my house, I'm always serving more than one person, and sometimes, yeah, the plates get a little big. And I practiced at home, and I still, when we got there and you're under pressure, just kind of results were just basically put it on the plate, get it out there, no matter what happens. And it wasn't always the prettiest. So, I mean, it was fun seeing the food, but the one thing I am, is not the one thing, but I am very self-critical of myself. And it was after the mystery box challenge that I was looking at, you stand there and you look at your finished product for a long time, waiting for them to taste. So you're there looking at and I can sit there and just pick apart every little piece of what was wrong with the dish. And I remember Liz was standing in front of me, and I after the mystery box challenge, I didn't get called up either for good or bad, but I didn't get called up. And Liz turned around and looked at me and just shook her head. And I said, I got to stop beating myself up because that's what I was doing. I beat myself up like a lot throughout the whole competition. So that's partially some of the reason too that it was a relief. I look back at the pictures that I've kind of screenshotted now, and I still beat myself up over them. Like, what would I do different? How would I present this differently? Would it be smaller? And you think about all those things afterwards, and it's hindsight and the woulda, shoulda, coulda. But at the end of the day, I mean, I enjoyed the experience. I love the idea of being in the MasterChef kitchen. It was a bucket list thing for me. I tried to get on in 2017. I tried again in 2018, and I came close in 2018. And then I waited, the 4 years that it was on hiatus to try again. And when they announced it, I'm like, I'm going to do this one more time, at least one more time. And I was lucky enough to make it on. I think, I saw a lot of stories when I was looking at it back in 2018, where people did. It was 3, 4, 5 years before they even had a chance to be on the show, and it really does speak to those people's perseverance. And I think I learned from that and persevered through it as well to try and just get on the show and compete with some of the best cooks, if not the best cooks across the country.
Absolutely. That's what's coming through on screen, and the power of perseverance is a great place to leave that. I want to thank you so much for your time. It was really lovely chatting with you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Have a great day.
I was not recording. Oh, yes, I was. Yes,